needed to be cleaned. It had been cleaned.
There was dirt on the floor, there was bugs on the floor, there's black mold.
I paid to have it cleaned.
The refrigerator is disgusting. The stove is disgusting. It's disgusting.
It was clean.
I'm telling you that the place was disgusting.
This is Judy Justice. Adriana Alonzio and Tanner Krugel are suing their former landlord, Faith Schmidt, for a security deposit and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3121, Alonzio Krugel versus Schmidt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell me your last name.
Krugel.
This is your...
Fiance.
The two of you were moving from one state to another.
Correct.
You were moving with what other family members?
Our 4 children.
And you were moving from what state to what state?
Wisconsin to Minnesota.
Whose mother lives in Minnesota?
Mine does.
That's your mom?
Yes.
So you needed a place to live?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry.
Your mother found a place, or did you?
I found the place initially.
You found the place?
Yes.
And your mother went to do a walkthrough to see if it was suitable for you and your 4 children?
Correct.
And found the defendants? Okay. You want to tell me, Ms. Schmidt, why you felt it necessary? Because I'm going to get rid of that part of your claim very quickly. Why you felt it necessary to come out with a gun on the 13th?
So when I went in there in an attempt to resolve the issues that they were complaining about the night of the 13th, I brought the walkthrough paperwork, and we were going to fill out a walkthrough with everything that needed to be addressed. Instead of accomplishing that, we were in...
Okay, so what room did you go into first?
I walked through the back door off the porch into the kitchen.
What did they complain about in the kitchen?
They complained about the cleaning.
What specifically about the cleaning?
They complained about the dirt behind the fridge. They complained about the state of the fridge.
What was the state of the fridge?
There were stains in the back of the fridge that were not coming off with any cleaning.
What else?
They complained about the stove.
And what about the stove?
The inside of the stove.
That it was filthy?
Correct.
Okay. And did you see that the inside of the stove was filthy?
Not on that day.
No. You know, I don't believe...
On the 13th, it was not filthy. It was cleaned by Alex. I had cleaned. Those were... the stove and the fridge was very important to me that he cleaned those. We also talked about getting them new appliances because they weren't satisfactory. I was going above and beyond to appease them, and I told them that I would look for new appliances, that I wouldn't be able to provide them overnight, but that I would be looking for them and provide them with new appliances.
She has that in text.
That she was going to provide new appliances?
Yes. Correct.
Because the ones that were existing were unsatisfactory.
Yeah.
They get their security deposit back, $3,000. Your counterclaim is ludicrous. Lost income, damages due to false claims, rent, utilities, and harassment. How did they harass you?
She has reported my Facebook account, so I no longer can advertise. So I've had to do alternative routes of advertising. Before, it never cost me anything to advertise. Now I have to pay for advertising through the newspaper. I bought a rental sign. I've done things.
What was the harassment? She complained about what happened to her family when they came to this property that they were renting.
Harassment wasn't the word that I would use.
Well, what would you use?
She's dragging my name through the mud. She's going to the local bars. I have heard from
Just a second. You can't tell me rumors. If you have somebody who can testify that she said something about what?
No. My dad can testify because his employees are telling him.
He can't tell me what his employees... Listen to me. He can't tell me what his employees are telling him. He can tell me if they said something to him. So what? Did you finally find a place to live?
No, we have not.
Since November?
Correct.
Where are you staying?
Right now, we're staying at my parents' house. We had to move back to Wisconsin, so we are on air mattresses in my parents' family room.
Why were you moving?
To be closer to his family.
Anybody have a job?
He had a potential job lined up.
In Minnesota?
Correct, yes.
What kind of work?
Property maintenance management.
What are you doing now?
Nothing right now. I started a new job in Milwaukee on Monday.
He had to turn down a really good job offer in Minnesota because we didn't have a
That's all. I just asked him what he was doing now, not woulda, shoulda, coulda. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. Counterclaim, whatever it is for, I don't even know, is dismissed. Thank you very much. We're finished.
Thank you.
This court's adjourned.
I did offer them 3/4 of their deposit back.
We wanted it all back. We didn't live there.
I put forth my best effort to find them new appliances, to hire someone to do cleaning. I believe I went above and beyond.
We had a verbal agreement that the house was going to be in livable condition, and as you can tell by the pictures, it was not livable.
Differently in the future, I think instead of hiring someone to clean, I'm probably going to clean myself, and I'm going to take photo evidence and videos of everything.
She knew a month ahead of time that we were coming, so it's not like it was sprung onto her the day before like she's trying to claim.
I'm not going to go out of my way to give them access to the property before I'm there. I'm going to do the walkthrough and ensure the lease is signed before they have access to the property to avoid this.
Being a landlord is not the job for her.
You know, I remember moving in somewhere when I was a junior in college, and, you know, they always take advantage of us college students. We'll live anywhere, sleep anywhere, we don't really care. But it wasn't clean when my roommate and I moved in. And I remember when we did the walkthrough thinking that if I ever became a landlord or, you know, anything in this realm of realty, that I would make sure that all the places that I would expect other people not only to live but to pay money for was up to the standard of somewhere that I would live. And I think that the defendant couldn't even say that she would be willing to move in there and live there in the condition that it was in either on the 12th or the 13th. You know, that's a big deal.
Yeah, they wanted a place to live.
So I think her claim that they never planned on signing the lease or they were trying to take advantage of her, I don't believe any of that. No mother packs up an 18-month-old for no reason.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they were hoping to make a new life. It didn't work out. Yeah, she's a young person to have a little real estate business, 4 properties that she owns, and I give her credit for that. But she can't be a slumlord.
Yeah, I give her credit too.
Yeah.
But if you want 4 properties, they have to be 4 properties that you'd be willing to live in yourself, not
That's the
subpar.
answer. That's the answer. I gather that all of you are very involved in cars.
Yes, Your Honor.
I was talking about how I wanted rims on my car, and he was like, oh, maybe I should get new rims on mine.
The rims that you wanted, she gave you the money.
Yes, Your Honor.
His girlfriend would not.
Why wouldn't you?
And his wouldn't.
Smart girl.
I know.
This is Judy Justice. Bailiff Cassandra Britt is standing in for Bailiff Kevin Roscoe, and Law Clerk Alexi Mincer is sitting in for Law Clerk Sarah Rose. Skylar Ramirez is suing her former friend, Chris Martinez, for an unpaid loan and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3073, Ramirez versus Martinez, Judge.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Yes.
Miss Ramirez, this gentleman is a friend of your boyfriend.
Yes, was.
He was a friend of your boyfriend.
Yes.
No longer, I assume, because of this incident.
Yeah.
And I gather that all of you are very involved in cars, fixing them up, souping them up, making them pretty, whatever it is. It is your claim that the defendant, Mr. Martinez, wanted rims for his car. I must tell you, I haven't had a rims case in many years. And rims are expensive. The rims that you wanted, sir, were $1,200.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you didn't have the $1,200.
No, Your Honor.
And according to you, Ms. Ramirez, you gave him $800 of the $1,200 as a loan.
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll get into the specifics of how that came about, and you haven't been repaid. That's why you're here.
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you known each other?
The 2 of us, like 7, 8 months maybe.
What's your boyfriend's name?
Nathan.
Nathan, how long have you known Mr. Martinez?
I've known him for a couple years now, maybe about 6 years.
6 is more than a couple.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
6 years. Mr. Ramirez, I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding this transfer of $800 to Mr. Martinez.
It was a conversation between the 2 of us, and he explained that...
Just the 2 of you? Your boyfriend wasn't there?
It was just the 2 of us at Brittany's house, and we were...
Who's Brittany?
Brittany is his girlfriend.
Was it your house?
Yes. We had a conversation that he wanted to acquire some rims and didn't have the credit score for it.
Didn't have the credit score?
Yes.
Okay. So you were originally going to take out a loan to buy the rims?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when was that, Mr. Martinez?
It was towards the end of March of 2023.
You went to a finance company?
I used to work for a tire shop, and they do financing there. And then that's when Ms. Ramirez...
No, Ms. Ramirez isn't a mind reader, so somehow you had to have a conversation with her.
I brought it up with my girlfriend.
Brought it up with your girlfriend?
Yes, I talked about it with my girlfriend.
Hold on.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Tell me your name.
Brittany Gallardo.
I want you to tell me the first conversation you had with your boyfriend about these rims?
Yeah, we were just talking about
Just the
both of
two
our
of you?
cars. Yes, just both of our cars. I was talking about how I wanted rims on my car, and he was like, "Oh, maybe I should get new rims on mine." And then from there, that's when
No. Just the two of you. So you said you wanted new rims on your car. He said maybe I should get new rims on mine. There had to be more than that. You know, he's your boyfriend. You live together?
No.
What does that mean?
He stays over every once in a while.
Okay. I want you to tell me the conversation that you had with your boyfriend when she wasn't there initially about buying rims.
That was the first time we ever really had that conversation.
Okay, well, the first time you had the conversation,
Yeah.
the issue of money had to come up.
I told him I didn't have money for mine, and
You said I
that
don't
we
have-
had to work on getting the money for rims first.
So you said, I don't have money for rims for mine. It's not an answer. Yes, I'm sure
Yes,
you mean
ma'am.
yes, Ms. Gallardo. And he said he's got to work on getting the money for his?
Yes, ma'am.
Were those his words?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if it's my boyfriend, my next question would be, how are you going to do that? And what did he tell you?
He's looking for another job because he had just lost his job recently.
So he was going to look for another job.
Yes.
Did he talk to you about financing the rims?
No, ma'am.
He just said he was going to look for another job. Tell me about when this was. Do you remember what month?
Middle of March, beginning of March, somewhere in there.
Okay. There came a time when the plaintiff was at your house
Yes.
and you were home
Yes, ma'am.
and your boyfriend was there.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you present when he started to talk about his lust for rims with the plaintiff?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me the conversation.
They were talking about rims. And
No,
so I
she
brought up
wasn't-
the
she-
conversation that we had about him. And then she was like, "Oh, why didn't you guys just get him?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have the money right now, and he still has to find another job. So until that happens, we can't really do much." And she was like, "Oh, well, I could be your friend and I can help you guys finance, but the work that he does on my car should be free."
Careful what you say to me. Be really careful.
Yes.
You want to be helpful, but don't get ensnared in the web,
Okay.
because I weave that.
Yes, ma'am.
So she was there. You started to talk about rims,
Yes, ma'am.
financing them. She said, I could help you guys out by financing.
Yes.
And you had tried to finance.
No, Your Honor, I haven't tried.
Okay, so you hadn't gone to anyone else about financing.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so she said, I could help you guys out financing. And what did your boyfriend say?
No. Sorry.
Ms. Gallardo, right here.
So-
Not him. He may be permanent, he may be temporary, you never know. This tape is forever.
I know. I know.
Good. 10 years from now, you probably will have to look at pictures to remember what he looks like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skylar Ramirez claims her former friend, Chris Martinez, refuses to pay back a loan for car rims.
Okay, she said, I think I could help you out financing. And?
They had their conversation. I went inside because I have kids. So I just went inside.
Oh, so you didn't hear?
So I heard the conversation from the door because I just went to go check on the kids. But I said, I would rather you wait until we can do it on our own. And so their conversation came up because she had already gotten work done on her car. So, and she kind of already owed him.
There's no almost
Okay,
kind
well,
of...
she owed him money for the labor that he was doing on her car. And because of that, he was like, well, if you do that, we can just call it even. And
You heard that?
Yes, ma'am. And so she was like, so you're going to do my car for free? And he said, yeah, I'll work on your car for free, but you have to finance and pay for the rims. That day that they went to go get the rims, I guess, he had to put cash out of his own pocket to get the rims that day.
How much, sir?
I put $400 down.
You put down $400, but the rims were $1,200.
She got financed for $800. The rims, cash-wise, were $1,200 out the door cash. There were more because interest, so I put $400 down.
So she gave you $8.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that was sometime in March.
Yes, Your Honor.
Between March and May, what work did you do on her car?
Every time they needed something done on their car, they show up to my girlfriend's house late, around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, asking for work to get done. I've done oil changes on the car, their brakes, spark plugs.
I asked you a specific question. Between March which is the time that she advanced $800 towards your rims, and May, what work did you do on her car?
Your Honor, it varies. I've done multiple stuff within that time period.
This is her boyfriend. He used to be your friend.
Yes, Your Honor.
He's not your friend anymore.
No, Your Honor.
You want to tell me why?
Because this whole situation, the way it turned out to be, he's just going off what she says.
Well, you've been friends for 6 years. Did you have a discussion with him? Because there came a time when she wanted her money back. Because now she's got this loan that's built up interest, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so you had to have had a discussion with...
Nathan.
Nathan
really never talked to me about anything. It's always Skylar going through his phone on his Instagram, talking to me about it, or having other people call me.
May I say
Nathan? Nathan, did you ever have, after the exchange of this money and after your girlfriend took out this loan, did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Martinez?
I did not personally, no.
Did you have any email or text exchange with him?
On my account, yes, Your Honor.
Do you have a copy of that?
This was later on, like a month after the financing.
Well, this is in April. I assume that this is you saying, ain't trying to rush you, bro, but we need the money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have half of the 50?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he says, I don't, bro. I always have 3 kids to take care of. You have 3 kids?
I have 3, Your Honor.
Okay. You're good. I wasn't even trying to be like that. Don't take it the wrong way. I'm not, bro. I don't want you guys to think I'm blanking you all over. What does that mean?
I don't want them to feel like I'm screwing them over, Your Honor.
Screwing them over for what? For the money?
Yeah.
For the money. Well, that would indicate to me, Mr. Martinez, that you acknowledge that you owed him money. But you have 3 kids to take care of, and you didn't have the money.
The initial agreement when I got the rims was I work on their car. That was the initial agreement.
That's in March. You said that I would work on their cars. That's what you said.
Yes, Your Honor.
Initial agreement is that I would work on their cars. And so I specifically asked you, what work did you do on their cars from March until May? Which was actually a pretty reasonable question, because these texts were the end of April. And you said, I changed spark plugs, I changed the oil.
I've done brakes, I've installed aftermarket parts for them.
Just a second. When is my question? I just want to know what you did for them after she gave you the money. Were you supposed to sell this car, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you sell it?
No, Your Honor.
Why not? Is not an answer.
Just people lowball me.
You have a Mitsubishi?
Yes, Your Honor.
2000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where'd you get it from?
I traded one of my last vehicles for it.
You traded?
Yes.
What did you trade it for?
I had a 2013 Cadillac ATS, and I traded my homeboy with it, and he gave me cash on top as well.
When?
I want to say beginning of February.
Oh, so you didn't have this car very long, so it was your intention of flipping the car once you put rims on it?
Not even that. I was going to sell it with stock rims, too.
Then what'd you invest $400 of your own money and $800 of her money for?
I wasn't going to sell the vehicle with the rims on it. People that messaged me about it, I told them I'm selling it with stock wheels, because I'm not going to lose $400 out of my own pocket. So.
Does he take care of your cars?
He did change our brakes. He did.
On one car or 2 cars? One car.
One car, Your Honor.
You live together?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he changed the brakes. Do you remember when he did that?
March.
What else did he do?
He did a spark plugs a few days later, and then there was a leak in like our router or something like that in the brakes, and he changed that. But other than that, it was like small little things. He painted our rims. We helped him paint the rims together and stuff.
When you go over to where they live, he does it at his house?
No, he does it at Brittany's house, his girlfriend. We would text him and I'd tell him that I get off late, and he said to just come through later on in the day whenever I'm off work. So it would be late, and I would let them know that, and they were okay with it until a time, and then they told me that's not okay, and I said that's fine. Like, I respect the boundaries.
What arrangements did you make to pay him?
Anytime he would do our thing for us, like the brakes, for instance, he told us that it'd be $50. And I told him that I'd cash up it to him, and I cash apped him $50.
So you paid him for the brakes?
Yes.
$50?
Yes.
And you can show me that?
I have it on my phone.
Did she pay you $50 for the brakes? She's going to show me that
for the brakes, yes.
Spark plugs?
I've never received a payment for spark plugs.
Spark plugs?
No, he said that he would do the labor for it if we paid for the parts.
And how much were the parts?
altogether because we bought it with the brakes. It was like $156, somewhere around there and some change.
Okay, and you paid for the parts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, Mr. Martinez, I'd like you to give me some indication of how many hours it took you to change the spark plugs.
Roughly about 30 to 45 minutes.
30 minutes. And then you said there was a row. You support your kids?
Yes, ma'am.
What about him? Does he support his?
Yes, as much as he can.
Well, you know, you have to eat regularly.
Right. He does, mechanical work and stuff. He goes and spends time with his kids.
But, you know, if you have 3 kids and you don't work all the time or work at a not high-paying job,
right?
Doesn't it sound moronic to spend $1,200 on rims for a car?
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds like something a 10-year-old would do. You know, not somebody who was a responsible parent. Because you have kids.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you said, I'd love to put rims on my car, you said, I can't afford it.
Yeah, I can't afford it right now.
Ta-da! How much did you make in payments?
Altogether, I made $416 in payments. I had some late.
So you paid so far $1,316. Is that correct, Lexi?
$890 and $416.
Yeah.
I have $1,306.
Yeah, $1,306 is what you paid so far. The $890 would clear the debt?
Yes, it would make it your own.
Now, $1,306. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. Remember that picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Case is now closed. Court is adjourned.
She was just being immature about it.
I think she made the right decision.
I'm a parent of 3, and I'd rather not put myself in a hole that I can't get myself out of.
Yeah, I really wanted it to work out, but I feel like it was just immaturity that made it go like that.
Stick to the agreement that we had, which was working on the car.
Every time he done work on our car, we always paid him.
Friends come and go.
The world works in mysterious ways, and I think he just likes it that way.
So, Alexi, let me tell you my takeaway from this case, which has nothing to do with the law. It has to do with Miss Gallardo, who I found absolutely charming. I actually found the plaintiff and her boyfriend also honest and charming. The defendant, on the other hand, is a hustler. And it's interesting that Miss Gallardo knows he's a hustler because that lady smiled when I say, remember the picture. 10 years, you won't remember him because he has 3 kids, takes care of them, she says, as best he can. Well, you can't take care of them as best you can if you don't have a job. And then not to have a job and to want $1,200 rims for your car. She knew it was ridiculous. Now you're served with a restraining order by your mother.
Yes.
Brought that witness, but you didn't. You chose to bring a witness who really couldn't contribute to your case. Do you understand? I'm just telling you, with a confession, and you had the tires, and she had the opportunity, and she had the mechanism, but you need something other than that. That's
the threats weren't a confession, Your Honor?
No. Okay. Now, you're counterclaiming for illegal lockout. Forget it. Your mother told you to leave. Money owed for belongings taken without permission. What belongings?
I had 2 bags of clothes still there.
You had 2 bags of clothes?
Yes, I had 2 big bags.
Just a second. And?
2 big bags of clothes. I had my shoes there, my work shoes as well. Okay. And then I had this big mattress that I left as well. It was an air mattress.
And?
That's about everything.
How did the plaintiff prevent you from getting that?
Because when I contacted them about getting my clothes...
Not them. How did the plaintiff prevent you...
friend was a manager for the apartment complex, so it bypassed all like credit checks, all that. That got me
Mr.
directly.
Alford, I want you to pay careful attention to what I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
In February of 2022, was Miss Thornton also staying in the apartment?
No.
March 2022, was she staying in the apartment?
No.
Did she ever stay in? Part of that had to do with, I gather, the two of you having an argument.
Yes, ma'am. We fought.
Two of you having an argument. I'll get to that in a second. So criminal court judges to sign off on these sweeping protective orders that cover place of work, your home, the children's school, the children. It just is easier to check all the boxes and say, we'll take care of it at trial. Well, that might be okay if everybody gets a trial in a week. In this case, it took 3 years for it to be resolved. So
for something he probably should have had from the beginning, joint custody, you know, given that they both cared for the children together.
And certainly not deprived of any.